One of the things that got me started in this steering business is in 1984, I was going to run the first 20 World of Outlaw shows. And I had my steering rebuilt by someone else. We'll just call them, I don't know, Brand X. And anyway, so they rebuilt my steering gear for me, and I went down to the very first race of the year in Big H Motor Speedway and pushed off to qualify, drove down the back straightaway, and a tooth fell off the cross shaft and drove my brand new race car right into the fence. And that I said, man, I could probably rebuild it and do just as good as they did and not charge myself. So one of the things that I'm talking about here is the magna fluxing of the components of a steering gear. It is super, super important, and as you and I both know, safety is just as big of an important component of your steering rebuilds as the performance of the steering. And that's one thing that I think has been spoken about not nearly enough when it comes to steering rebuilds. Steve Fox, he used to do all of my magna flux before I owned my own magna flux machine and everything, and he's very qualified to give you a quality reading of assessment on any of your components as far as being fractured or the other thing that we've been doing a lot of lately is the new cross shafts in the new steering gears. They're all gun drilled for lightness. And what we do is we roll them on rollers and check, and lots of times, since they're thinner on the inside here because of the being gun drilled, we've seen quite a few of these be bent from here on out, taking a hit and just bending the ends. And Steve and I, we both straighten the cross shafts and get them down within 0.003 and make the steering perform much better because you don't have tight spots and binds that it has when they're bent. When we magnaflux the rack gears and cross shafts and the worm gears on these, lots of times you would think that a fracture would always start on an edge. Not so much on a rack gear. I've seen many times when a crack is only showing up down in the root of the teeth and not out on the edge. And you have to be very careful because of the way that the fractures can start in the root here. And actually I've seen teeth come out of the rack gears before and they almost look like the root on a tooth. It pulls out a big chunk right in the center of the tooth and everything. So Steve has a lot of experience with magnaflux over the years, doing all the engine components that he's done, the steering gear components that he's done, and I think he's as thorough as anybody could humanly be. The other thing is on the cross shafts that we were talking about is lots of times you can see these things be bent out on the end, be fractured down in here. You can actually even, back in the old days, they used to fracture quite a bit in this area right here. The Gen 2s, that's been one of the biggest improvements that KSE's made over the years is they've increased the diameter here, and also the radiuses are much larger, which also keeps fractures way down. Also, the cases, the housings on the new Gen 2 gears are much stronger, and the new black pumps, black and silver pumps that they have out, they've changed, they look the same on the outside, but they've improved the flow on the inside, and it's very common just to have those up to 1,500 pounds of line pressure without any problem whatsoever. And nowadays, with a lot of people using the new style wing slider valves where your pump pressure goes to the wing slider valve first and then over to the steering gear, the high line pressure allows you, when you pull your wing slider valve, not to feel any decrease in efficiency in the steering gear. And so high line pressure in the pump is a good thing.